Chapter 3. Establish Effective Goals. Earlier, I wrote about establishing goals as part of a work routine. Now it is time to deal with setting goals in general. These can include 1. Goals for project completion, 2. Goals for completion time, 3. Career goals, 4. Sales goals. Goals are usually what gets people into the game to begin with. Saying to yourself, I want to be an author, or I want to be a professional musician, may speak to your spirit, but I intend to convince you that these are not the right kind of goals for a prolific creator, and to show you a few better ways to formulate your goals, both long-term and short-term. You might have heard of SMART goals out in the corporate or education world. As silly as some informational acronyms are, SMART goals make a lot of sense and are a good place to start when it comes to formulating the right kind of goals. Most often, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. I've seen other variations, like results-based for R, but these variations don't detract from the overall purpose of this type of goal setting. If we look at one of the earlier goals, something like, I want to be a professional musician, we can see it as missing some important information. 1. What does it mean to be a professional musician? 2. How will you know when you have achieved the goal? 3. Is it even realistic to consider doing music professionally? 4. How long should it take to reach the goal? Though it is clear there are some problems with this goal, I don't think it is wise to just discard big ideas and grand thoughts. Being a professional is more of a mission, not a goal, and should be there to inspire you to set goals, rather than being something nebulous hanging over your head, reminding you that you can't achieve something. That's one of the big problems with big goals. When we fail to achieve them, we lose heart. Let's take goals in the creative context a little bit further. Tasks, goals, and missions. First, let's categorize our outcomes. 1. Tasks. These are the little things that you set out to do on a daily or weekly basis. Sub-project goals, daily work goals, and social media content fit into this category. Tasks are either completed or abandoned within the short time frame they are necessary. As such, relevance to larger goals is of the most importance. 2. Projects. These are your project goals, or the bigger things you will seek to accomplish over a longer period, from a few days to a few months, or perhaps even longer. A book is a goal, as is a record, a substantial painting, a stage performance of a play or opera, or a film. It's imperative when you set this sort of goal that you attempt to limit the time you will work on it, or else you risk losing your ability to reach completion. 3. Missions. These are the really big ideas and career-level goals. If you want to not just write a book, but be a writer who earns his income by his craft, you have a mission. It is imperative goals at this larger level be both achievable and that they have a very clear metric for measurement. After all, at what point is one a writer? You should, before you set out, set up some clear criterion for judgment, such as yearly gross income or a certain number of published works. Defining success and failure. The next step in goal creation is to define how you will know whether you have met the goal or not, and just as importantly, when you should meet it. Time-bounding a goal is very important for defining failure. If your goal is to run a mile in under 10 minutes, at what point have you failed your goal? A week? A month? Your whole life? An example of a task-oriented goal would be, I am going to play through all of my scales today at 140 BPM. This defines success and, because that definition is time-bound and precise, it also defines failure. If, at the end of the day, you haven't gone through all of your scales, or some of them you are still unable to play at 140 beats per minute, you have failed the goal. Anything above 140 BPM counts as success. You can have the same task for the next day, repeat the task, or, in the case of failure, attempt the task again. Let's continue with the project-oriented goal. I am going to finish the rough draft of this book by February 1st. This defines success as completion of one of the project steps and is time-bounded. What do you do if you fail at this task? In this case, you probably shouldn't just give up, but attempt to finish as quickly as possible. And let's look at a mission. I am going to make $1,000 per month selling books by 2025. Again, this is time-bound. However, Failure at this stage can mean lots of things. Is this a signal to you that you need to find another career? What are you going to do if you have success? Keep building? Rest? And what are you going to do about failure? These are questions only you can answer for yourself. This is why long-term mission goals should be approached with a looser touch than those for your day or a project. Connecting goals and methods. Failure should not be viewed as a negative per se. Failure is a chance to evaluate why you failed and to make necessary corrections to your process that will, in the future, eliminate that failure or get yourself closer to success. Failing at a goal does not make you a failure. Truthfully, failing is one of the very best teachers, as it points directly to those things that you need to improve. If something is working, it probably doesn't need to be fixed after all. To this point, consider that goals and processes should always align with one another. The success or failure of the goal is a direct reflection on the process used to attain that goal. That is to say, you should always judge your process by its outcomes, rather than by how you feel about it while you are doing it. After all, it's easier to walk a mile than to run the same mile, but one will get you into better shape than the other. Consider the above task-oriented goal. I am going to play through all of my scales today at 140 BPM. If you fail to achieve this task, you can alter something about your process and try the next day. Or you can consider that the process was fine, but you had set an unrealistic goal. Perhaps you can get through all of your scales at 120 BPM and then increase your goal speed the next week. If your process is not giving you the improvement you need after several cycles, it is time to change it, especially if you have readjusted your goals and looked into other solutions, such as fixing flawed techniques in the scale example. We can take the same task and create a goal with a longer term of completion out of it. I am going to play through all of my scales at 140 BPM at the end of next week. If you still fail to meet the goal, it is time to adjust your approach. Take a step back and look up some different methods for practicing scales. Maybe you need to try speed bursts or some other method to get you over the hump and to your target speed. Perhaps you need to drop other tasks and spend all your time on scales for a few days. When you have this kind of feedback, it is good to take a step back and evaluate your routine. When it comes to project goals, the same basic principles apply. If you wanted to finish a book by a certain date, why did you fail? Is it because you didn't set a realistic goal? Does your routine need to be updated to improve transitions? Or is your process fine, but you realized halfway through the draft one of your ideas didn't work and you needed to start over? Very long-term goals, especially those related to careers, can benefit from ongoing evaluation of the processes before you reach the time boundary. If you aim to make $1,000 per month by a certain date, and it is apparent you are very far from your goal before you reach the date, you should be evaluating what you are doing to reach that goal. If you aren't making enough money selling books, why are you failing? Is there something you should be doing but aren't? Do you need to learn more about advertising? Are you writing books that are proven to sell, or writing books without concern for the market while hoping you make money? Have you written enough to justify making $1,000 per month? How many books do authors making that much money have for sale? I like the money-making example because many new authors have very unrealistic expectations about how much money they will make in this business, as well as just how much work it takes to make money. They think that their book will magically take off and be a bestseller, without realizing that there's no market for the amphibian romance novel they worked so hard to publish. Authors are often unwilling to look at what others have done to make money and try that method for themselves, or they refuse to use such methods because they consider them unsavory in some way. Authors tend to hate being marketers. It makes them, or us I should say, feel dirty. Being able to recognize a failure in such a goal, and just as importantly identify why you failed, will save a lot of heartache and will also allow for tremendous growth over time. Each time you fail, you are honing your process, making it better and more effective, as well as adjusting your mindset so you can be happier and more successful. Wording your goals for success. The best way to format a goal is to put all of the above together. I am going to do X by Y time. I am going to do Z to achieve it. Now everything is there and easy to evaluate as well as visualize clearly. We can even at this point connect everything from the mission all the way down to the individual task in one big, well-defined, process-oriented goal. I am going to make $1,000 per month selling books by 2025. I'm going to write 3 books per year to do it. I will write 1,000 words per day to write 3 books per year. Mission goals supported by project goals supported by task goals. I like the above goal because it hammers home the importance of the process and why I put processes before goals. If you write 1,000 words per day, every day, you can finish 3 books per year. If you write 3 books per year over 5 years, you have 15 books to sell. If you sell 1 copy of each book per day, at an average of $2.99, you will be making over $1,300 in sales per month, close to $1,000 in net royalties if you publish independently. Of course, there's more to publishing books than finishing the drafting process, but if you can keep your drafting process humming along, suddenly you can, in a few years, do what most people can't even imagine. Write not just 1 book, but 15 books, and can even make some good passive income doing it. $1,000 isn't enough to live on, for most people, but it is realistic and achievable if you stick to the process. 1,000 words per day isn't even very much. As you skill up, you'll soon move past that task goal and be able to be even more productive. The same consistency at 2,000 words per day could potentially double your output and significantly increase your income as part of your mission. You can apply the same goal setting to any career, really, as long as you can break down the steps for the mission into projects and finally the regular tasks that will be your daily focus. Don't lose sight of the big picture. Even though you have better goals now, don't forget about why you got into your field. Don't give up on your dreams, your mission. Keeping that mission fixed in your mind is excellent inspiration and will make any daily grind more tolerable. Whenever you have a hard time working, just think of the mission and how your work is tangibly moving you closer to that ultimate goal. Then it's not really work, because you were achieving your mission. The small-scale work is making your dream a reality.